it makes you the hiring because usually it's the mistakes that you make.
Yes.
That you're like, dang, I made that mistake. And usually it has to do with your inability to love and manage things against that.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know. You can't, like, it's a mistake. What do you think that you've hired a lot of people? I think I'm on my list. Well, I know the mistakes I made. What are the mistakes you made? And you can't. I so many mistakes because that's the key to the ability to teach. What are the ones that you think, and what are regret called? What is the position that is the party?
For me, because I believe people, and you have to understand that everybody's lying to you, essentially, in a way. I'm kind of gullible in that sense. But, yeah, I think holding on to people too long that are con artists, you have to really figure out who people are, and it's hard. And so quality control for me is big because in the beginning when I was hiring people, I never checked up on what they were doing.
Right.
And so they can talk a good game and they can make you feel like they're a smooth talker, they know how to talk to customers, they know how to talk to you. You would think they're the best tech. I've hired somebody that I thought was the best tech in the world. Until I found out 6 months later that he was sitting in a golf cart on his phone and he wasn't checking rodent boxes because the HOA president told me. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to quality control. You have to check up on people, hold them accountable, and that's when I really started the integrity thing. After that,
I like the key indicator.
Yeah.
And that number basically is so good that
Yeah, but some people know how to know how to finagle the system. They know how to make sure they control some of the ants by cutting corners. Because a slacker is going to know how to do the job better in a slack form, like, you know what I mean, than somebody, you know what I mean. So essentially, it's the con artists that are going to get away with the most because they
see that, like, because the account or whoever they're going to service, they could love the technician. He'd be worst technician. He could have like a look stepped on him. He's such a good talker. They talk. Yes. So back when I first started, they say, "Hey, Jose, we want you to go do a Q&A on John or whatever, And I come back and I call John and be like, dude, I don't want to snitch on you, bro. But bro, this guy was falling apart. There's roaches and mice everywhere. What do you want me to do?
I got one better than that when we worked together. There was one.
So hold on, just.
So
the thing is that the people in the office, they would love John. I would correct the account. Be like, don't send that guy back again.
Yes.
This is John again. And it's I don't know. It's like, it goes both ways. If you have a good character or are able to talk and finagle your way verbally, the people in the account are gonna love you. But I think it has to go in conjunction with being a good service tech. If you have two of those together, that they love the tech and the technicians are great, great at what he does. That's like a solid right there.
Yeah, you can't train the personality, but you can train the skills. So, and I'll get to that in a second. The story that I was going to say is we had somebody we worked with. I won't say their name, but they were a termite tech even, and the 2 customers in a row called that said, hey, I love the tech. I don't want to get them in trouble, but can you send somebody else? We really got to get rid of these termites. It's only doing half the job, not doing it right. And that blew my mind. Their house is getting eaten by termites, and I don't want to get them in trouble, but can you send somebody else to get rid of my termites? God, it's just insane. But so what I was going to say with that was, like what we started saying there of, you can't train that personality. Now, if it's an integrity issue, absolutely. They're gone if they're outright lying and they're stealing from you or the customers. But if they're just, they're cutting the corners, like you said, a little bit, that kind of goes into that, saying, like, don't hate the player, hate the game. So if they're trying to, play your system, that's where I look as a manager. You can start tweaking the system, and how can you keep them just within the lines? And then basically their KPIs where they get rewarded line up with good business practices. So sometimes you can work with them on that.
Add to that, don't be a prisoner to your employees. Don't be a prisoner. I did it for a long time when I first started. I had a technician mentality. I didn't grow. I just expected the phone to ring, and I was held captive by. I had only 2 techs and myself at that time. And I was held captive by the first tech and then by the second tech. And they just held me captive. I didn't know what to do. I said, dude, if I fire this guy, I don't know how I'm going to get the work done. But I think it costs you more in the long run if you hold on to that tech instead of letting go.
Yeah.
You know, I went through that. You know, I wouldn't want it, like anybody to go through that. That's the worst thing to have a tech and they hold your prisoner. You know?
So one of the worst things I do is help people let people go. And it's never fun to fire anybody. It doesn't get easier. But on Wednesday, we let somebody go that hit their 90-day mark. And this goes to knowing your KPIs and tracking. And like Franklin over said, about 2 weeks, you know. So they had hit their 90 days and sales. And they were experienced salesperson from another field. They had $0 at 90 days.
I had a situation with a guy like that.
Yeah, I referred him to you after we fired him.
I would watch this. And what do I do? I hired this guy. He said he could sell.
Yes.
He haven't sold anything. And he said it was a great tech. Not all the customers are calling complaining. And we try to just make your business dealing with cities and governments. And he said, I got no time. I said, what do I do? It's fire him because it's going to tank. So these are major accounts. So like,
and he can't be happy either, you know, in his job too. It's just a horrible myth.
I got what do I do? Let's go find another guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I can't run it. I can't do it. Like he was held captive.
Yeah.
And he's got no choice in this. It's why I'm another guy. Keep him in.
Yeah, you got to pull that Band-Aid off. It hurts, but you just got to do it. And
goodbye. So what I want to add to it, you know, just a lot of the tech relationships and the dynamics of it. Is it mainly residential, or do you separate? Do you have different techs for commercial versus residential? Because I find too that the expectations from the customers are different. My experience with commercial is that like you were talking about, the tech can kill a bug, but the customers love it. So they're a great communicator. They check in, they check out, they do all the paperwork right, but technically they're challenged. But so there's a difference between your commercial and your residential. I just wanted to find out what your experience and what your thoughts on that is.
And kind of like we talked about the differences in hiring. If it's your first technician, they got to be that jack of all trades in the beginning. As you start getting 3 or 4, if you got somebody who's killing it on apartments and they like it and they're good at it, they get the apartments. You got your termite guy. You know, that's a big one we get here in Florida. Is going to be termites. You don't want to send the guy you hired last month out. Now, likewise, too, you don't want to just send the guy with a bunch of experience. Yeah, you see that happen a lot, right?
That's what important on density.
Yeah. Yeah, and so usually you get the one. Now you got to be careful. You want to have a backup because I've seen too. You give it all to one guy. You know, let's say Dennis gives it to his brother. He's this termite guy. You know, his brother goes out sick, and you've got nobody trained. So those are the challenges of that small company with only about 4 employees. You get to 10 or 12, you probably got some backups on the bench, and you're good to go.
What are the walls? I watched
Okay, came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I see the walls somewhere on the 500,000 people. First wall that you get. And then near the end. And then
yeah.
Walls. What are the differences they fall related to?
I think your first one, and usually around like 250 to 300K is where you got to hire your first employee. You're busting your butt and you're getting that one route. So that's one huge one. There could be that $500,000 to $1 million wall, but probably about 2 is where I see the big wall. And that's going to be that 8 people, like we talked about. If this is, you guys are my 8 techs here, and I can't manage more than 8 people. You get 9, you get 10, and you just can't keep track of them. And there's some CSRs, salespeople, it falls apart. And when we talk about some people can't manage, a lot of owners can't manage managers. Then maybe they're a yeller screamer, maybe they're completely passive and quiet. But either way, if they can't manage the managers and you can't get those lieutenants who help you go, that's where I see a lot of companies never get above $2 million.
I was having a conversation with Paul Hub. I said, "Yeah, it's Paul. I have it. Everybody wants to be a CEO and have." Mm-hmm. And then like, I just hired a guy, and I want to have to manage. I don't want to have to look at numbers and KPIs. I just want to keep what I hired him to do.
Yeah.
But I said, you can't. I could manage that, and then how do you, again, manage a guy who's better than you, and he's just down.
And it's counterintuitive, but especially if you're a small company with no more than 4 employees, almost every person you hire, it's going to be more work for you. You say, hey, they're going to take 40 hours off my back, but it's going to be more work. Is that true for you guys, since you're about that size, right? It really work about the same, if not more, when every time you hire somebody, so it's tough.
Yeah, that's what I like. I'm out of the field following the guy that I hired. It's
And that kind of goes to my point. If you find that special person, especially if they're family or a friend for that first hire, somebody that's going to be a little easier, and they're going to stay out a little bit later for you if they have to help get things done.
About that, then all of a sudden it was 6:30 and he was go out, but and it's longer because you deal with he's taking longer, and I get out the T-Rex. He starts later because he has to take his kids for school, so he has to come in because if I wasn't driving, you got all that for dynamics that you can't. I said, come in later, but. He's slow because they don't show anything. So I get a call every single stop, even though he's already done it with me. She's done all the training, and he's still calling me on every single stop. What do I do here? Like, there's nobody home, nobody catch the door. I said, they're going to put over and call the customer. And find out, gate, for minutes. They was actually type of freakish, don't even ask me.
No, I literally struggle with that. That's a big struggle. Like, I want to be able to have a relationship with the techs, but at the same time, I can't really afford to hire a manager because, a good manager that's going to actually know his shit, or you got to build one up. But everybody's coming to me, and I need to delegate because I have so many other areas within the business that I'm trying to write. And so that's, I think, a big struggle for me right now is that I don't have a manager in place to do that stuff so that I can focus on other areas in the business. I wanted to ask you, at what point in your business do you feel like you really need to hire a manager? Is it at the 4 techs? Is it at the 3? Or is that the 8?
Out of the 4 to 6. I think 3 is too early. 4 for a small company is usually where I start seeing it happen. 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
Yeah, some people will say you don't want to have those 10 technicians, but there's so much going on. Like where you are, and I think you're about the same. You said about 4 or 5 people. But there's so much going on if you get that person to help. Now, ideally, if you have somebody who's showing those skills inside, like let's say that new guy you hire who's really good, or maybe your brother, if you can get them kind of working into it even part-time, doing half around, half management, that's a sweet spot. Not everybody's going to do that. Yeah, yes.
Service, right. Awesome.
You can the person school is great. You got no chance.
The lead tech, yes.
Yeah.
But here, there's course with their teaching by reading or not taking some of the work off.
Yeah, they should be able to take some of this fall. Instead of going with this hand.
Call this guy.
Yeah.
Make him your lead, and then so you're moving them in this position.
I have that, right? Like I have my brother, for example, is really technical, so anybody can call my brother because he absorbs information. He's really smart. He can relay information to other technicians, but he doesn't really want to be a manager. He likes to be in the field. Yeah.
But in between.
In between, yeah, exactly. He is. He does, but at the same time, I'm still getting a lot of calls. If it's not from Texas, from the CSRs, or it's from my CSR, it's even maybe from my daughter. But my daughter actually absorbs a lot of that. She's really good. But I want to get it to that next level to where I can actually focus on other aspects of the business where I'm not really focused on exactly. Like my daughter can track the numbers and I can look at them and that's great. But I don't want, for example, a tech calling me because he can't get into a gate. You know what I mean? Come on, that's not where I don't want to spend my time on that, and I don't want to feel like I'm an asshole. I want to pick up the phone and I want to tell him what to do, but you know what I mean?
Like I said, the gentleman that from Jersey, you consider him a friend. He had technicians that will, I think it was 2 of them. He drove through a parked garage and wrecked the whole top of 4 technicians. Yeah, 4 technicians and wrecked the top of the cabin of the pickup truck. Their service truck just kind of didn't look okay. Can I fit it? No. Good. Just went right in and just wrecked it. The ladder rack. There you go. Just wrecked the whole thing. That's not a cheap thing, especially if you wreck it. You're gonna put them out for a day. You put the service vehicle down.
Yeah.
So. I get
lucky.
I get
that because if you're trying to get a camper now,
it takes weeks,
6 to 8 months out.
When we get our camper, it took us 3 months to get it.
Yeah,
it is.
Was hot, bro.
Yeah.
For example, truck inspections. If I could have a guy that can actually do truck inspections, but I want to start to that.
That takes so much time for me to do truck inspections. But for example, I hired somebody that was supposed to be a manager that came from active. Right? I'll say it. They don't this manager, the way Aptiv trains their managers, at least from my experience from the manager that I brought over to my organization after I interviewed him and I thought it was going to be, and he did good in his interview. When he came to my organization and I gave him the task and I had it all written down on what he had to do and truck inspection, it was too much. He's like, bro, I didn't do this at Aptiv. And I had to demote him, but now he's doing better as a tech and selling than he was, and maybe he could work his way back up. But now I'm doing truck inspections and I'm still doing, you know what I mean? It's too much. So,
This, I think he expects to grow with us. You know, let's say we got a tech and off like a manager or supervisor or whatever field manager, then those were my expectations, to just grow them into the position, you know, and, you know, slowly get them to know everything, know how we operate, and then one day